Yo, what's up guys, it's me Jake here, and today I'm going to be talking about a series called Ao Ashi. Now you probably haven't heard of it. It's a soccer manga kind of like Blue Lock, but the thing is, it's better than Blue Lock. Sorry Blue Lock fans, it's just my opinion. I haven't read all of Blue Lock, but I'm not really into the sports manga that go into like the power kind of style, so that's just not my thing, and this is way more my style. So sorry for the people who would love Blue Lock, but if you're a soccer fan, you will definitely like Aoshi. Now, the reasoning behind this is it's more of a tactic-based manga where if you're a real soccer fan and you know all these tactics and all that, then you'll like this manga because that's the main point of it. Basically, you follow this kid named Ao Ashi, and he is a forward, and he calls himself a genius forward, and he tries to become pro and was really wanting to become the next big thing. But one day, an incident happens in a tournament in his final year of middle school, which gets him carded, and by carded I mean red carded, so he's out of the game for the rest of it. But he already scored like 4 goals. But after this, he lost all of his scouting opportunities, but one person saw something in him. And after that, they met, and he gave him a chance to go into a selection exam for Aspirian Youth Academy. Now this youth team is no joke. It's probably the best youth team in Japan. So how does Ao Ashi really delve into this kind of thing? He just dips his toes in? No, he just jumps straight into the selection exam, trying his best to get into this team. And I'm just going to say this right now, this series is so good. The characters within it are amazing, and even just the feeling when they're in games is just so cool. I really like kind of how Ashito kind of develops, as it's more of a in-game development and him kind of going with the flow of things and understanding more about what he lacks mid-game and trying to adapt his own playstyle to these kind of things that he himself is weak to and prone to making mistakes for. And I really like that. I think Ao Ashi really kind of reminds me of Sawamura from Ace of the Diamonds at some points, but very much doesn't, because Sawamura doesn't use his brain half the time. And I'm going to say that because I love Ace of the Diamonds, even though I think Ao Ashi is one of the best sports series I've read ever. I'm going to say this right now, I don't think it's going to be my #1 sports series. I still think Ace of the Diamonds is still better than it, but that's because I just have emotional attachment to that series. I really love that series, but Ao Ashi is so good in terms of this kind of more use your brain kind of style for a sports series. And if you're looking for a sports series that is not just power based and more realistic, this is definitely the one that you're going to be wanting to read or watch when it comes out, because the animation actually looks pretty good. But of course, with the tactic based side of things, it definitely doesn't get as big as the series like Blue Lock, who have these powers that are really entertaining to look at and watch when the anime comes out, because I know the anime for Blue Lock is coming out later this year. So I'm going to say that that's probably more popular because the powers are cooler, so people go
like, oh, cool power, we like, be like, oh, lion thing, cool, oh, chain, cool, oh, eye power, sick.
Stuff like that. Just like, you know, it happens with every series. Like, look at Demon Slayer. It's a prime example of something that doesn't have the best story at all. I don't even think it has a great story at all, but it's just really cool to look at, so a lot of people enjoy it. So I'm not going to bash you if you like Demon Slayer. I'm just saying that's kind of a prime example of what I'm trying to say. And I'm going to say this right now, Ao Ashi is something that will definitely make you use your brain a little bit. If you're reading it, it is kind of wordy at times because of how they have to explain things to make the reader understand if you're not super in-depth with a soccer mind. So it is actually pretty easy to read. If you're not into soccer, you won't need to know everything about soccer before reading this, because they do explain most things to you, and they do explain the basics to you, because Ao Ashi really doesn't know the basics of soccer. I'll be very honest, he just is not that great. But it's his ability that makes it way more able to play. He's able to adapt, and the thing he's able to do by seeing everything is super cool. And it's not really like something super unrealistic, but of course it is some semi-unrealistic with what he can do. So I'm going to say that right now. It is definitely not like you can do this in real life, everything is perfect, it's nothing can't be done. A couple of things that happen probably won't happen in real life, but just that it's a manga, it's going to happen. Those are things that happen within all sports series. Like, prime example, Ace of the Diamonds. Pitchers do not pitch 9 innings every game, every game, which is like every 2 days apart. They don't do that. That would kill a shoulder of a person. That literally would make it so the person wouldn't be able to move their arm for like the second half of their life, if not the second 3/4 of their life. That made no sense on how I worded that, but they wouldn't even be able to move their arm because of how much they do that. And also some things in Ace of the Diamonds, like that one dude, I forgot his name, but he able to perfectly accurately pitch. That's not realistic. That's not going to happen in real life. All sports series, even no matter how realistic it is, will always have the unrealistic aspects of it. So I'm going to say this right now, it is definitely one of those kinds of series, and I definitely will say, if you're into more tactic-based and more character-driven stories, Ao Ashi is definitely the way to go. The only thing I have a problem with Ao Ashi is this one thing with color pages. Is this girl's hair blue, or is it blonde? I don't know. Every other color page, they change her hair color, and I don't get it. I don't, and in the anime, it's blonde. I don't know. I literally just don't know. Like, is it blonde or is it blue? I don't care which one, but just tell me. I just want to know, because this is just mind-boggling. I can't understand it. But, I will say she's also a great character, by the way. Love this character. But, just, that's my only problem. That's my only critique, and it's so little, it doesn't matter, but it's just, in my head, I always just think, is she blonde-haired, or is she anime blue hair? And in the anime, she's blonde, but, like, you know, I don't know. It's really confusing. Also, one thing I really want to note is Aoi kind of looks like Luffy in the first couple chapters. If you have Luffy in this art style, it would definitely just look like Ashito. And I'm being very honest here, it just would. There's nothing to it. He would just look like Ashito. Luffy is Ashito, I guess. Just, I don't know. It's really funny to me whenever I look at Ashito in the first couple chapters and I'm like, is that Luffy? Like, in my head, like, did he take inspiration from Luffy to draw this character? Like, I'm not mad at it because I love Luffy, but I just think it's funny. Also, Ashito as a character, by the way, I'm going to say this right now. Amazing. He is such a fun character to see develop and see his thought process as a normal person. It's very easy to kind of get attached to this character as he thinks like most people would. He's not this super theoretical, like, big brain soccer player. He just tries to adapt to a situation using what he's good at. And I think that is definitely what needs to be done. Plus the major twist pretty early on, but not really, so makes this whole series so good. Basically, a little bit into the series, far enough where you wouldn't expect it, there's a huge twist that completely changes the rest of the series, which just makes it that much more interesting because no other sports manga would be able to take that risk confidently and be able to pull it off. I will say that without a doubt right now that no sports manga would ever do that and pull it off as well as Ao Ashi did because of how just in-depth they go about it. I will say that this is such an amazing twist to have. At this point in the series, it was amazing to see, and I think it really helped Ashito's character grow tremendously. I think this helped his character so much to the point where I just think he's a top 10 protagonist for me. I do definitely think he is now at this point. Top 5, I don't think so. He might get to that point once I get caught up, because I'm not fully caught up to it. I'm like a little bit past halfway in this manga, and I will say I don't think it's going to be dropping the ball, as I have had a friend of mine read it, and he told me it just gets better and better. So I'm going to definitely say that this is going to be amazing, and Ashito probably will be a top 5 protagonist, not top sports protagonist. That's Saomura for me anyway, but he definitely is just number 2 right now. He's just number 2. There's no way he isn't, because I love Saomura so much that it's very hard to get above him. And also Saomura is also such a relatable character in terms of a personality that's realistic, just like Ashito is. But I think Saomura is a little bit more funny than Ashito, so that's probably the reason that gets him above Ashito for me, because yes, Ashito is probably definitely smarter than Saomura. Saomura has that funny side to him that makes it so much more enjoyable. And I will say, Saomura by himself, oh my god, I love that guy. He is just an amazing character. If you yet to read Ace of the Diamonds or watch it, go ahead and do yourself a favor and read or watch it. It's just so fun. But I'm going back to Ao Ashi. Wow, I love rambling about other sports manga, but Ao Ashi is definitely easily at least a 9.5 out of 10 for me right now. The art, is definitely not for everyone at first, but once you get into the art style, it definitely grows on you. I think the art style is very unique in that way, that I think that if you're not into this kind of art style, you'll probably get into it pretty early on, because I didn't think I was going to be into it, but then after like 10 to 20 chapters, I was like, yeah, this art style fits perfectly. And I really like how when characters get really serious, there's like that kind of aura around them and all that, so I think that that fits this art style really well, and I really like this kind of little tidbits of touches that they add in the series. I really like that. Also, another thing I think the series really excels at is its character development. I think the character development in the series really helps the series show how good of a series it is, and how it's willing to do these things with these characters that a lot of sports series wouldn't do with these characters. It's willing to give this development to a lot of the characters, because if you don't know, there's like 22 people on the soccer team, so like there's the subs, there's the reserves, and the starters. So they have to have these kind of huge cast of characters, and developing that many characters is pretty hard. But this manga is willing to give his time to small characters and give them that spotlight. And I think that that by itself is really fun to watch, seeing the development of a bigger cast. And it's something I personally respect more, is giving these developments to a cast that's way larger, because I feel like that's way more of a difficult task to actually accomplish, rather than having this small cast of characters grow as a unit. And I really think that that is something I really like about Ao Ashi, and also something that's within Black Clover's realm, is something that has a huge cast and develops it really well, rather than having a small cast and developing it like one team unit and only that team unit gets developed, and then some other characters get stopped after a while, because why not, and their character just stops being relevant to the whole story. Yeah, Rock Lee, right? Like, I mean, like, come on, give Rock Lee his moment in Shippuden, bro, like, come on. But okay, back on Ao Ashi. I'm really rambling today, but they really do give their chances to these other characters, unlike some battle shonens and other shonens and seinens really do. And I believe Ao Ashi is actually seinen, and I wouldn't be surprised with how much they actually use cuss words in their wording of things. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a seinen. Plus, some of the things they kind of deal with, I wouldn't also be surprised to be a seinen. I could be wrong, but I believe it is. So if you're into that, go ahead and give it a try. If you're one of those seinen elitists, I mean, you can be an elitist for this series, I guess. I mean, it's a seinen, you can like it and not be like, it's your shonen fill, even though it is technically a seinen. So, just saying, you could do that. Seinen elitists who don't ever think shonens are ever good. I see those all over Twitter all the time. I don't even know why I look at that terrible app, I'm gonna be honest, but I think that's gonna be it for this video. I definitely highly recommend Ao Ashi, and I definitely rambled a lot in this video. It's just more of a kind of fun video for you guys. I hope you guys do enjoy this though, and I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!